encouraged that Gino's making more football plays. Do you see that? You see him growing in your offense that way?
A little bit. Still got some room to grow. You know, so half of it's mental and half of it's making a play. You know, and he'll keep getting better from a mental aspect of things. He still makes mistakes, as I do, and he does, and everybody does. That we're human and it happens. But being able to overcome those is something that's important. And then just making a play. You know, which, you know, the touchdown, he made a play. You know, that was not a designed quarterback end around play. That was a see if you got it. If you don't have it, don't force it, make a play. And he did. He needs to keep doing that.
What is your philosophy on the quarterback running? I mean, definitely don't want him to do it, definitely do want him to do it, someplace in between.
Somewhere in between. You know, we want him to get the ball out of his hands. And more talented people, you know, that can do something with it. We want to keep his body out of harm's way as much as we can, which is impossible to do throughout the course of a game. But we need to do our job as coaches to not put him in situations where he's taking a beating. So, you know, when he's out of the pocket, when he's in the pocket, get rid of it. If it breaks down, get out of it. But then once you get out of it, put the ball in play, whether that's by throwing it or whether it's by deciding to run it. You got to make the best decision you can. We can't yell at him run or yell at him throw. He's got to make that decision on the go.
Talk about the importance of getting pressure on the quarterback, obviously, but especially when it's a young guy like Bridgewater coming in and kind of forcing him to make that decision, make it quickly.
Yeah, you know, which when I studied their offense 2 weeks ago, preparing for Rutgers, you know, Louisville is one of the games that I studied offensively, and it seemed to me like they were doing a pretty good job of that. He didn't get caught with the ball very much, you know, so their run game was getting a little bit better, and when they threw the ball, he was getting it out pretty good. But as anything, when they're in throwing situations, we got to go get it. We got to attack the ball. Part of attacking the ball is attacking the guy with the ball.
Were they taking Stedman away from you? Is that why he didn't get thrown to like at all in the first half? Or?
No, it was conditions. You know, I mean, the wideouts, the guys farther along away from the ball didn't see the ball very much. You know, because they were way out there and it was hard to get your footing and get it to them. So the 2 times we got it to them looked pretty good. And we probably maybe could have made a little bit more effort of forcing it to them, but we didn't really want to do that. We didn't run as many plays and we ran the ball a lot more than we have. So there weren't as many opportunities.
How about their quarterback through 5 games? What have you seen from game 1 to 5 starts, I should say, from the first one to the 5th one?
Louisville's guy?
Yeah.
You know, he's the ability to make a play.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's probably a lot like Gino was 2 years ago. You know, growing into himself, learning, talented, good arm. You know, has the ability to get out of it and run downfield. You know, he's developing pretty good rapport with the guys around him, which is throwing it to about 8 different guys. So just familiarity with the offense and, you know, the ability to sit in the pocket and be a pocket guy, but then when things break down, be able to make a play with his feet.
They changed offensive coordinators in midstream. I don't know if you looked at the film, but did you notice anything different what they're doing prior and after the change?
I didn't study the earlier games. Asked Jeff that, and he didn't notice a lot of change. That's hard to do now. You know, I mean, if you want any kind of continuity with your offense or defense or special teams in general, you don't want to switch from year to year, let alone game to game. You know, so they're still doing a lot of the same stuff. You know, it's probably just getting guys on the same page, would be my guess. You know, without being on the inside of it, they probably got guys on the same page. When it's settled on some positions at that point, you know, primarily with the quarterback.
Now that it's official, can you share your thoughts on the program moving to the Big 12 and what that'll mean on the football side of things?
Yeah, it remains the same as it was 2 weeks ago. Speculation. We're not talking about it. To last week when it became official, we're not talking about it. To this week, it's going to happen, and we're not going to talk about it. Now, I will, you know, from what our job is, you know, which I'd be, you know, one, I'd be naive to know that I don't have to talk about it, but also within the task at hand with our players, with our coaches, you know, they've been instructed, I've been instructed that it's about Louisville. And last week when it became official on on Thursday, Friday, we brought the guys together for about 30 seconds, and I told them it was official, but I also told them it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything with this week, and it doesn't mean anything with next week. You know, what our task at hand is the same goal of what it was, you know, in August, which is, you know, to win the Big East. You know, I mean, that's what our challenge is, and that's what our goal is, and that's where all our focus, effort, and energy is on. Now, with that said, you know, the direction of the program, I mean, that's something I'm excited about, I can assure you that, you know, and I understand, you know, the Big 12, what they're about from a national perspective, from a facilities perspective, from a, you know, academic perspective, and, you know, the amount of changes and challenges that need to take place here at West Virginia are going to be something that's going to take a long time to get done. You know, so it's a huge task. It's not an overnight fix. It's great to be able to solidify our future and what we need to do to put ourselves in position to be successful.
In a recruiting sense, is that a relief to be able to at least tell a prospective recruit where he's going to be playing now?
Yeah.
For certain.
Yeah, it is. Which that was one of the challenges, you know, was, you know, about future is not what's happening when I'm in here talking to the team or you know, we already know what our task is in here. You know, it's whatever we show on the films to get better for or move on or go practice or whatever. But, you know, from a futures standpoint, from raising money to facilities to recruiting, all that stuff that affects the future, it makes things easier because you know where you're headed, you know where you're going, you know what you got to do.
What are the challenges, Dana? You mentioned you face a couple of challenges here, things that have to change has to take place. Anything?
Yeah. Well, everything.
Yeah.
It's a step up now. I mean, it's you know, Big East is the most competitive conference I've been in. Period. From top to bottom, the most competitive conference that I've been in. Within the conference. You know, Big 12, as far as setting the standard from a, you know, from a facility standpoint, from a recruiting standpoint, from a, you know, TV exposure standpoint, to an academic standpoint, something that they set the bar very, very high. And I know West Virginia is capable of adding to that, you know, from a fan base perspective, from a, you know, from how many people go to the games perspective to everything. So it's going to be something that we're going to have to evaluate everything and try to make it as good as we can to be able to compete.
So you don't feel like it was any kind of distraction, obviously, then, for the players last week?
Yeah, I don't think it was. I think if anything, it was probably maybe, you know, from a coach's perspective, maybe a little bit. We're getting a lot of phone calls and conversations and where's it going and recruiting phone calls. And, you know, I think our guys did a good job of just focusing on the task at hand. You know, kids are a little more short-sighted. I mean, they see a task and that's what they focus on. You know, they're not worried about West Virginia University 5 years from now. I can assure you that. They can't. They're right now worried about class, what they're doing Wednesday night, and who we're playing on Saturday, and what they're doing after the game. You know, from there, I doubt very seriously many of them know who our opponent is past this opponent right now. So, from a player standpoint, I don't think it was. Which we'll continue to talk about it and make sure that we, you know, focus at, you know, whatever's in front of us is what we need to worry about.
You can answer this. Not many others can. How complicated is the travel, or how overrated is that factor?
I think it's overrated. From a institutional standpoint, it's you know, it's overrated. From a fan's perspective, it's probably a little more challenging. You know, if you're a fan that will drive 5 hours, you know, but you won't drive 10 hours, then we have a problem. You know, then you need to start looking into booking airline tickets a year in advance. You know, to get cheap flights, which I know all the you know, places that will be playing will be, you know, places that we can get to. But it's air travel, which it's all kind of gone air travel anyway right now. There's some fun venues now. I can assure you that. There's a lot of good places out there, and there'll be a lot of fun times ahead.
Who gets the most snow?
Iowa That's one of the colder games I've ever been in. Was I think it was 2005, Iowa State. Been there I think 3 times. 2 of them were really, really cold. The thing that made that game Saturday so challenging was the cold mixed in with the wind, mixed in with the rain, sleet, ice, snow, slush, and it being constant for 5 hours. That was challenging.
You put your hat on Saturday, your cap.
You got to cover the wind, the rain. It's rained. How many times has it rained this year? 4? I wore a hat all 4 times. I know you don't like it when I don't wear a hat. The only time I'm going to wear a hat. I don't know. When it rains, I wear a hat to keep the wind and the rain from getting in my eyes where I can't see. So that's not an issue. All right, guys, appreciate it.